Customs also are enjoined by law to grant tax exemptions. If you go to the customs law, at 891, the first section 1 is customs is authorized to impose customs duty and collect it. Then you be surprised. Section 2 says that they are also authorized by law to exempt such duties if the need be. So exemptions are there in the law categorically. Yes. So under the brief subtopic, customs are also mandated to verify the entities received for exemptions and that goods as far as specified in other laws. So this also does it for brief introduction to taxation. This is not a tax class anyway, but we have to just know, equip ourselves with what tax authorities are enjoined to do or not to do. So after a brief, let's continue with the subtopic prohibitions and restrictions of import and export. Yes, as by law, it's not everything that are allowed to cross boundaries into jurisdictions, or some countries might accept certain products or goods traded in, and certain countries might not accept them. And also, certain goods will be accepted on certain conditions. So that's why the topic prohibitions and restrictions, and they apply to import and export. This is a very simple topic. It's one of the shortest topics you'll be coming across if you, observe. It's a question of what are prohibited items and what are restricted items. The moment you understand them, we explain, you only populate them with examples, and that is it for you. And restrictions are those imports or exports that are allowed into or out of a country upon observing certain conditions or complying with certain conditions by the customs authorities and other regulated agencies, like for instance in Ghana Food and Drugs Authority, Ghana Standards Authority. We know the numerous MDAs, as we call them in our sphere of vocation. So if you comply with them in importing certain things, those items become restricted items. There are various reasons why those items are called restricted import and export. Bring them in, but on conditional. Then prohibitions are absolutely banned. They are not allowed under any condition. You can even offer to pay billions of dollars for them. They are not allowed to be traded in across boundaries in and out of a country. So I hope the two subtopics are clear. What are restrictions or restricted imports and export, and what are prohibited import and export? Is so clear. So you only ask yourself, as a class, you are professionals, you have been doing this work for some time now. I can ask you to populate some of them. So if you take, for instance, prohibited items, there's some items that play the dual role. For instance, the obvious cocaine. Everybody will mention cocaine to be prohibited because it's hard drug. But cocaine is both a prohibited item under certain conditions and becomes a restricted item because cocaine is allowed and is imported in almost all countries for a certain specific good purpose. That is the best anesthetic drug we have in the world. And there are only hospitals allowed to import them and store them under lock and key by a responsible officer who releases or gives them to whoever needs them to use in the theater. Is best anesthetic drug we can get. By then, for its abuse and bad social manner, it becomes a prohibition. Yes. So apart from the medical facilities in every country that import them, if any other entity importing them, it becomes a prohibited item. Because the question is, what are you going to use it for? We all know the social menace. Sniffing and of cocaine can cause to human beings and their health. So cocaine is either here or there. But then the rest follows. If you bring infected carcasses, animals, diseased plants, they are prohibited. Yes. And certain things can be prohibited and can be allowed in certain countries. For instance, if you go to Côte d'Ivoire, used vehicles that are more than 3 years are prohibited. Used vehicles in Côte d'Ivoire should be only up to 3 years. But Ghana, we allow it up to 10 years and above. Even Methuselah. I can tell you, last year I cleared a vehicle in my office, one of these American state school buses, manufactured in 1963. This can never happen in Côte d'Ivoire. It can never happen in Singapore. I know their laws very well. So prohibition depends on the country's choice, but there are certain standard, normal things that are prohibited across board. So, for instance, unauthorized arms and ammunition, cocaine, as I said, and the slides attached. If you read them, there are a lot of examples. Then, if you come to restrictions, we all know the restricted items. We've been clearing them. The frozen cargo, drugs, arms and ammunitions, and what have you. So the list is endless. So that does it for prohibitions and restrictions. Now we go to a bit of a lending subtopic, which is also very, very important because it borders on law. So the next subtopics will be customs offenses as with its management tools. Customs offenses with its management tools. So the management tools of customs offenses are detention, seizures, and forfeitures. So the first word is so simple. Is the detention, seizures, and forfeitures that is going to entail us discuss this topic. There are several types of offenses in this world, but we are specifically talking about customs offenses. And the customs offense is any breach of any customs law. The moment you don't do right and it breaches or infringes on any customs law, you've offended customs. And when I use the word management tools, I'm just simply saying when you offend customs law, the way you are punished. And normally we are talking about cargoes, the goods that we import or export that commit the offenses. So how are the goods punished? I'm not a human being to be thrown into prison, but then the goods are either detained, seized, or forfeited to the state, depending on the severity of the offense. So the minimal punishment that starts with is the detention of goods. There are certain minor offenses that if you commit, customs will detain the goods and tell you to go and do right, go and correct the error. And if you go and correct it and come back to customs, they will release your goods to you. Yes, please, this punishment is the least because of the authority that are involved. At any port of exit and entry, wherever the offense took place, the authorized officer there will detain your goods and give you up to 1 month. There's the legality here to go and come back, and if you satisfy the reasons why it was detained, they will release your goods to you. Then, if after 1 month you don't come, the law automatically converts detentions into seizure, which is a more serious one. The moment after 1 month you don't come, the goods are seized automatically by law. There it is it takes more pains. It's difficult to get them back to yourself. In the first instance detentions, you don't need to write any application or go to any higher authority for the goods to be returned to you. You only go straight to the officer who did it. But with seizure, no matter if you are from the remotest part of Ghana, you have to write an application to the Commissioner of Customs for it to address your issue. You write, and when your case is adjudicated and the Commissioner feels that your goods, your seized items should be, here we call it to be restored to you, not released, then you also reply you in writing. They will bring it to the station where the offense took place and your goods are restored. Likewise also, if after 1 month you don't come for your seized items, they are forfeited.